Welcome to the show about the show, the podcast. This is episode 462. My name is Will, and I'm a weird frog bug crawling into your mouth. Joining me, as always, is Atticus, who is floating in the air and releasing a cloud of beautiful golden particles from your face. Hi, Atticus.
Hey.
Today, we're thrilled to welcome Morgan Evans to the show. Morgan is the director and co-writer of Micro Budget. Morgan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. I thought you were going to give me a Twin Peaks related adjective, but
okay,
real life's good.
How about, you switched the gun out for a fake one back at the prison.
Smart.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That might be my own headcanon with what happened there, too. I'm not really sure if that was like the warden's doing or that was Ray's trick, but we'll get into it. So, like I said, Morgan is the writer and director of Micro Budget, and we're going to talk to him about that probably more towards the end of the show, but I do want to hit the broad strokes up top. And so, Morgan, I'll do my best, a little bit of a summary here. It's comedy available to watch on Tubi and Plex with ads. Is that the truth?
That's right. Yep. If you want to watch it without ads, you can go to Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And buy it.
You could buy it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
But you know what? It's like a
Nice.
very good price. I think it's cheap. I think it's like $3 or something, so.
Oh, is it really? Wow.
I think.
I watched it
I
on
think.
Tubi.
But yes,
I'll
it's
confess.
a comedy. It's a mockumentary comedy.
It is. In fact, it's a mockumentary comedy about a delusional filmmaker from Iowa making an ass of himself in every imaginable way. And so, Morgan, my first question for you today is, did I do something to offend you personally?
I think, it's funny, Patrick and Emily, who play the leads in the movie, it's basically about a guy who moves his 9-month pregnant wife from Iowa to Malibu. They're married in real life. I went to their wedding in Iowa, which is the first and only time I'd ever been to Iowa. And so when I was writing the movie, I was like, let's set it there. And they were like, people are going to think this is us. Like, for real.
Are they from Iowa?
She is, I believe. Yeah.
She's
from
is.
Wisconsin.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I would love to clip the Iowa is a shithole line, too, because that was so...
Yeah, that was improvised. That had nothing to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, it stars Bobby Moynihan, Chris Parnell, Maria Bamford, Mike Mitchell, John Gabris, and a bunch of other talent, which is really fun to see. It was so cool to see people I followed for years, like Mike Mitchell and John Gabris. Like, Jord Rock was on Love years ago. Y'all are very easy to root for, and it helps that your movie is extremely funny.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah. I actually cast Mike. I loved Mike Mitchell and I loved Jordan in Love. And so it was fun to get those guys back together because they were both on that show. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. We got such a good cast, but the movie's called Micro Budget. It's actually a micro budget. And we were able to get everybody for SAG minimum. So pretty much everybody did it for, nothing at all. We couldn't believe how many great people we ended up getting. And there's a huge, ridiculous cameo in the end who has a couple lines. And they did it for SAG minimum as well, which is crazy.
Is SAG minimum
really
$200 or $5,000?
It's about $200 and maybe $10 or something.
Is it really? Wow.
They give you
that's awesome.
An agent bump, so you don't lose money. So it's $215 or something a day. Yeah.
Maria Bamford mumbling about how low that was so funny.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a fun movie. We shot it in 11 days in one location. My wife's family's home, and we shot it in March of 2023. It's just been a long journey. We did about 2 years of film festivals, and then we finally came out about a week and a half ago. It's crazy.
It seems like it'd be a really fun film festival movie to watch with a crowd like that too. But yeah, I enjoyed watching it at home with my wife. I did keep nervously glancing over at her throughout the movie, hoping she wouldn't put the pieces together and come to her senses about being married to a delusional filmmaker from Iowa. But luckily, it didn't occur to her.
Look, it takes one to know one, I think. I had to, a lot of that movie is, I think, my version of what I'm afraid of becoming, maybe
Sure.
What we all are afraid of becoming, for sure.
We'll talk a little bit more about micro-budget at the end of the show, but by way of segueing into our main topic, there is a David Lynch reference early on in the film. I think they said there's an Eraserhead name drop.
That's right, there is. Yeah.
I want to know what your personal history is with David Lynch and his work.
Yeah, I was a weird high school kid, like just very into weird stuff, and like for the sake of it being strange, I think, like I would seek out, I don't know, long movies. I would be like, Berlin Alexanderplatz, let's watch a 7-hour long, Fassbender film or something, and kind of just came into things like, even like with politics too, where you kind of are doing things to go against the grain a little bit, and then it ends up becoming your actual personality. So like maybe you don't get into things for the right reasons, but you stick with them for the right reasons, Like I think I was trying to watch like French New Wave films at like 14 or 15 to be like cool,
Sure.
And then suddenly you're like, oh, I actually love this stuff, and now it's a huge part of my personality. So I watched Eraserhead first, which is crazy, I think, to start there. I was in junior year of high school, and there was I think it had something to do with the Coney 2012 guys. There was like a charity thing called like Invisible Children or something, and it was like they would come to high schools, and part of the deal was you'd sleep in a cardboard box outside on the football field at a high school.
Like as the students, this is part of a program that you would.
Yeah, in order to teach you how bad the kids have it in Africa or something by sleeping in 70-degree weather in a cardboard box on a grassy football field in Arizona. And so I got my box, and I'll go with a couple friends, and I had my laptop, and I downloaded one movie illegally, and it was Eraserhead. And I watched it with headphones at night on a football field inside a cardboard box on my laptop.
Which I think is authentic to the experience that there were the Coney people were trying to amend. They're like, we got to get them at more of David Lynch's filmography. They're only stuck with Eraserhead for now. We got to get them on Straight Story out there.
Yeah. And it just blew my mind. It just opened my brain up, I think, to a whole new way of, watching things. And from that point, I just kind of started. I watched every single David Lynch movie within like a week, and then I think something was playing at like the Loft in Tucson. I drove like 2 hours to go see Lost Highway or something. I can't remember what it was in theaters. And then basically I've like rewatched every single David Lynch movie every year since I was 15 or something. So hugely influential to me. Not my work. My work has nothing to do, but just hugely influential to me on a personal level. Like I absolutely love David Lynch. I've got all the books here. I've got all the Mark Frost books, and I've got some. I actually found this the other day. I found a wrapped in plastic.
Oh wow!
Back in the day. So yeah, I mean, and then when Twin Peaks: The Return came out, I just couldn't wait. I was just so excited. Because
so you were in on it as it was coming out. This isn't
oh
something
yeah,
you came to
oh
afterwards.
my gosh, yeah, totally. Because I remember following too. Like it had fallen apart, and we were maybe not going to get it. And then there was like some rumors that he was seen over at Netflix, and we didn't know what was going on, and if anybody was going to pick it up. And then there was all these budget fights, and then I think Lynch left, and it just seemed like it all had imploded. And I remember being so sad, and then whoever over at Showtime CBS greenlit it and gave him the money. Thank goodness. Yeah, there's some good execs out there.
So were
like
you
one or two?
you heard it here. Morgan loves the execs. Were you like on the like forums and involved in like discussions week to week, like theorizing about what was coming next or discussing it in real time?
Not really. I don't
it was
really.
A personal experience.
Yeah, I don't really love that stuff. I mean, like some of it, obviously, I'm about to do a Peaks podcast, so I like it enough, But I do feel like I don't know. It's like when you leave a movie theater and then you just hear somebody going like, "Here's what I thought about." You're like, That's not. I need to sit with this stuff. And I think that just rewatching this last night. This is maybe the third or fourth time I've rewatched The Return, and there's always something new to discover, and it's always such an amazing experience. And even after seeing it 4 times, I still have to like sit with it. Like I didn't watch it just before this podcast. Like I watched it last night so that I could like have a minute. And then I got really, like this time around, I just decided to get really into Padarecki, like the music that plays when the bomb goes off. And I don't know why I hadn't ever thought to explore any of that. I'm very interested in his music choices and that song being about, dedicated to the victims of Hiroshima and stuff. So.
And I saw that song particular, like he didn't dedicate it until he actually heard it for the first time. I don't know if that's apocryphal or not, but he didn't write it in mind for that.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I read
That's
too.
a very interesting wrinkle.
Super cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in Twin Peaks theories insofar as like there's a lot of stuff you don't catch about, like for example, I think there's something about, Mark Frost more or less confirmed that this girl is Sarah Palmer or something in it, but it had something to do with the like Secret History of Twin Peaks book or something. Like drawing those connections is very useful for the internet. But I didn't love like, in the moment as it was airing, hearing theories. That's what like I love about like Lost. Like I loved the show Lost, and that was like a very fun like week to week like what's going to happen with the Dharma Initiative. But I don't know. Twin Peaks is such a personal, spiritual thing. It's weird to like have somebody, I don't know, tell you what they think it is, even though that's fun now. I think all these years later. Yeah,
it's so funny you brought up Lost because that's the only other show we've covered on this podcast. We watched all of Lost like a couple of years ago, and now we moved into Twin Peaks. That's so funny. Yeah,
I gotta listen to the Lost stuff.
Well, we're not a good podcast, Morgan, so don't worry about like in-depth like lore drawing conclusions or something. We're very like, oh, that was pretty good, huh? All right, nice. Like that's the level of podcast that you got in yourself.
I mean, look, I can
here.
draw some lore out of this. I've got my own theories for sure. Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, let's just jump into it. I have written here which character from Twin Peaks should go on Hot Ones, and we'll keep that. We'll break the glass in case of emergency.
It's Dougie. He'd just be like confused and angry that his mouth is hot.
Okay, Morgan, help me with it. So Atticus and I haven't watched this before. This is our first time through.
Oh, really? Oh, so you don't know like how the show is going to end?
We don't know where this is going.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well I'm glad you said something.
Or what's currently happening for me.
We're in the middle of it right now. We're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And this season, Atticus and I have had this constant it sounds like everyone calls that guy Dougie. They're saying that the guy who's like trailing sentences or like just kind of walking around getting pulled around by his arm.
They're calling this.
Yeah. People are calling that man Dougie. And I thought Dougie, we'd like barely see Dougie. That's Cooper, right?
Okay. Interesting. So all right, how do I explain this? So, okay. Did you watch the movie, by the way? Did you start with Fire Walk with Me? Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen it.
How did okay, so did you start with
watched
that
it after season 2.
Okay, all right, cool. So Cooper gets stuck in the Black Lodge, right? Like, and then Bob is Mr. C. So there's this other doppelganger, Cooper's doppelganger. That's Mr. C, who we're watching with the black eyes, who's also Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
Then my understanding, which could be wrong, is that Dougie is a real like tulpa, right? Like, so do you know what a tulpa is?
I've heard in reference to like I've absorbed some of the extra lore of Twin Peaks that I think that
it's kind of
will
like
come up later.
It's like an imaginary thing that's like created, like I don't know what to call it. It's like slightly different than a doppelganger,
like a golem or something.
Yeah, it's like a golem, exactly like a golem, and that is what Dougie is, and always maybe has been. Like,
yeah, he's
but
manufactured for a purpose.
manufactured
That's what the
for a
line
purpose
was.
to be an empty vessel for Cooper to then jump into
Okay.
at some point. So for most of the show, I think we're just watching Dougie. Like Cooper is still
Dougie
not
is
awakened
Cooper
yet.
plus
Like,
vessel.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Like Cooper's has not fully awakened yet or come out of a outlet
Yeah.
or whatever he needs
yeah.
to do. That's my understanding of what of the
Okay, that
Dougie
helps
thing.
a little bit. That does
Yeah.
help. Because like we do see like very briefly, there's the guy with the side or Kyle MacLachlan and sideburns and like the longer hair and like just for like a minute and then he disappears and like shrinks into that little orange pebble thing in the red room. And this whole time I'm like, okay, well that was Dougie. And then everyone else thinks this guy walking around is Dougie just because he looks like Kyle MacLachlan. But okay.
Right. Yes, I'm trying to remember the pebble thing. That's from the original series, or that's in this?
That's in the Return. I can't remember which episode. It's early on though.
His clothes or like his body disappears and like the pebble goes into the clothes, right? Is that?
Oh yeah. Right. That's right.
There's like a little black cloud or something too that's fighting on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the scene where Doppelganger Coop is like swerving all over the road and straining his face. Still my favorite scene so far. All right, let's just jump into it. This aired June 25th, 2017. It was directed by David Lynch and it was written by David Lynch, Mark Frost. Atticus is going to walk us through the summary here. This is like one of the least summarizable things I think I've ever seen. But we'll do our best.
Cooper's doppelganger and Ray Monroe drive, the former noting that there are 3 tracking devices on their car. He deactivates them, repurposing them to track a truck in front of them. They discuss where they are headed and the information the doppelganger wants, and he lies to Ray about Daria.
I like how he's like a hacker guy too, on top of everything else.
I love David Lynch's UI on the phones and the computers and stuff. It's like that's the world. That's what I want. You know, it's great.
It's like, you ever see like your parents using their phones and the UI scaling is set to like 250%?
Yes.
Like, oh my god.
Exactly.
And that's
they're reading one letter at a time on a text.
Yeah. That's the doppelganger UI. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so you guys know that doppelganger is Bob.
That's an interesting, like, is Bob, so, like, Bob's in control, or, like, Bob's also there, or, like, Bob's influencing, or that's just Bob?
I think that's just Bob. Like, I think that's Cooper's original body from the series, like, from season 1 and season 2. And then, it ends with that, like, mirror smashing, and you realize that, like, he's possessed by Bob. And all these years later, this is what has become of that OG Cooper body. And so that's why Dougie needs to exist, so that Cooper could come back to this world and reclaim his body. I don't want to spoil anything, but like that's like that's where we're like barreling towards, I think. And so
I didn't think he was like a good guy. I wasn't like,
no, totally, but like
loving this guy's vibe.
And then in this episode, right, like you see Bob in that bubble come out of him, and the Woodsmen come and help bring him back, and like I think just like shove that bubble back into his tummy or whatever. And then he like sits out. So like I think that's Cooper's OG body, but possessed by Bob in the same way that like Leland was like taken over by Bob too. But this is like a more
and
like
we saw
physical,
the mirror
real manifest. Right.
For both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
Atticus,
that's just what I think is going on.
Okay, that's fine.
Bob's in him.
Yeah, he is. He's literally right there. We saw him.
He's like in a bowling
peeking
ball.
out. Yeah. Atticus, is your studio haunted? Your door just like swung open.
No, Marlo.
That was awesome.
Let himself in.
Oh, nice. Cool. Shout out Marlo.
They head off the highway to a secluded area. As Ray relieves himself, Cooper demands the information and attempts to shoot Ray, but Ray has unloaded his gun. Ray then shoots the doppelganger with another gun. Ray then sees 6 dark men gather around Cooper's body, tearing at it, revealing to Ray a black ball with the face of Bob. He runs away and tells Philip Jeffries that he believes he is dead.
driving down the road here, they make a meal out of getting further and further off the beaten path here, and it reminded me a lot of the like walking towards Glastonbury Grove, like in season 2, the original run. That like headlights or a flashlight, peeking into darkness that is still like overwhelming for the most part. Okay, so we sort of mentioned it earlier about the gun stuff. The friend that was in the glove compartment that Cooper requested from the warden, that was that gun. Did Ray? Yeah. Do you think Ray unloaded the gun? Because he did say "tricked you, fucker," which is a good ass line, by the way. We should say that instead of April Fools. He does check it. He does check it. But like fake bullets or something? I don't know. Or did the warden set him up? I feel like the warden gave Ray a real gun to kill Cooper or kill Mr. C here. That's my read.
I think that's probably what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, why would you give him a loaded gun or whatever? You know, like
sure.
Yeah, maybe him and Ray are in on it. I guess the warden and Ray.
I assume that's what that was.
Yeah.
And we get the want versus need again. Mr. Cooper doesn't need things; he wants. That's such a cool piece of him, I think. Yeah. And the Woodsmen looking like Jawas to me. They're doing like a ritual or something on him. Yeah, pushing Bob back inside. The sound design throughout this whole episode is, I mean, the whole series is incredible. But like this episode in particular, and then also this scene in particular, there's like a otherworldliness that's happening here.
Yeah, it's amazing. What was I gonna say about the Woodsman or whatever? Oh, okay, so when you guys are done with this, I think it's worth an episode. You should watch the documentary that's on the Blu-ray about Lynch directing all this. Like, it's absolutely incredible. But this scene in particular is so funny because it's him with like kale, like on the ground, and he's just like, and you come over and you're rubbing and you're rubbing and you're rubbing and you're he's like, and then it's on the face and you're rubbing on the face and you're rubbing on the belly, and I mean, it's just incredible. It's so great. And Kamara's just like such a trooper, you know, just getting covered in muck and slime and blood. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think I will see clips from it pop up on like my TikTok or whatever because I'm doing this podcast, but I want to see the whole thing. It's like all the behind the scenes stuff, right? Like just
it's what that clip. I'm sure everybody's seen that clip of him arguing with his script supervisor, where he's like, "Who cares how long a scene is?"
So good.
There's also them like blocking out the bathroom, like him needing to go to like, you need to go really bad or whatever that you sent me.
Yeah.
That's a good behind the scenes.
Good moment. Anything else on this scene? We get it's like a superimposed overlay effect. I want to draw attention to the visual effects that are happening in this episode because there's a really wide spectrum of them. And this scene, it's a very I was almost gonna say rudimentary, but it's a classic movie effect to just kind of 50% opacity, lay one clip over another.
Cross dissolve.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And then other parts of the episode have like some of the most like beautiful digital imagery that's ever been created. And so it's an interesting balance.
Yeah, without jumping totally into it, I mean, but we're headed there. To me, it's very interesting when David Lynch chooses to use almost like 90s CG, or it looks like he did it himself in some way, where it's like very artistic and expressionistic and very like vibey. Like even just the little stuff like where you see the red room above the casino things, or like the guy turning into a pebble, right? Like, or like there's just these strange surreal images, and then that juxtaposed with how real the bomb looks it feels like an intentional choice to me. Like that is saying like this is reality now, like or something like that. Like here, like strip away the artifice of the art, and it's like this is supposed to be real, not a dream or anything like that. You know, it's like hyper real.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that like I guess we'll get to it. I'll hold it. But that like the creature or whatever that like regurgitates that stream
Judy.
is like that's a photorealistic
1,000%
looking
yes.
thing.
Yes. And I think like what's interesting about this scene too is basically it confirms, and I think we kind of knew this anyway, but that like the Woodsmen exist to help Bob, or like the Woodsmen are bad. The Woodsmen are part of Judy's, like they're Judy's minions or something. You know, they're talking about Judy, right? Judy's in the movie. They mentioned Judy.
We've mentioned Judy brief when David Bowie shows up and he says something about Judy. I think that's kind of all the Judy stuff we've gotten though.
Okay.
Since, and you know, it wasn't until like the end of the episode where of this episode today that I felt like more confident saying that yeah, okay, the Woodsmen are evil, because I mean the dance that they're doing around Cooper's body here, I at first I couldn't really tell, like they're tearing him up or something. Are they like descending on him because he's finally like weakened enough to kill him, or like are they trying to resuscitate? If they're trying to resuscitate, I don't know why like tearing him up like that is going to help. But then yeah, ultimately I can tell that they're not great guys.
Yeah, I think their job is to revive him personally.
Yeah. Once they start like trying to like push the Bob back in, that makes it look
yeah.
Better.
Have they been like impacting anything before now? Have they like influenced anything that we've seen to happen?
We've seen them hovering around.
They seem very like just like Easter eggy so far. Well, not Easter eggy, but just like walking past in the background, or like in the cell next door.
They're a larger part of the movie, aren't they? Like we actually see where they we see like inside that convenience store a bit, and like so they're, and I don't know which episode it is in The Return. I don't know if you've seen it yet, where they go to the pole, like the telephone pole that's like a crossroads. Have you seen that yet?
We saw like the kid get hit by the truck, and then his like golden, I assume Garmin Bozier, went up into the power lines. It was sort of at a crossroads.
And was there a Woodsman like in a car yet? Have you seen that yet? Or that might be after.
Not unless it was like in the background, like hidden or something. If it was
he makes a kind of a meal out of it. Like there's like these coordinates, you know, like that's kind of that's what Matthew Lillard's character was like researching or getting into or whatever, were like these coordinates where the veil is kind of like how you can go to Glastonbury or what's that area in the woods where the Red Room
Glastonbury Grove.
Off to. So like I think there's pockets of those types of like thin veils between realities throughout Twin Peaks and even further, like that's why they're in Jackson, Wyoming, or wherever they are in this show too, because I think there's these like zones all around.
Speaking of these thin places, I think we should move into the Roadhouse.
At the Roadhouse in Twin Peaks, an MC introduces the 9 Inch Nails. They perform their song "She's Gone Away."
I believe other Atticus is on base here. Atticus, what's it like to see another Atticus on screen? Is that representation for you?
Yeah, definitely. It's important for people like me to see stuff like that.
Apparently the MC just kept saying the 9 Inch Nails, and they thought it was funny to keep it. And then also in the credits, there's like extra attention drawn to the definite article.
Who's the MC?
What do we think of the performance?
Oh, it's incredible. It's so good. I'm just looking up who the MC is because
I almost wrote it down and then didn't, so that was helpful of me.
J.R. Starr?
Okay. Nice. It's he at some point during the performance, Trent Reznor like puts his hand up to his forehead and sort of like that, and it reminded me of that. it's that band that's going around right now, the Engine de Poitrine, like the math art rock that's happening, and it's fun to imagine who would be in like a season 4 of Roadhouse performances. I feel like David Lynch would be into those guys.
Yeah, it's funny to hear him, like, you know, when he would do those YouTubes or whatever, where he's like, today I am listening to Cigarettes After Sex, you know, and like, okay, they'd probably be on the show. Yeah. I feel like if season 4 was going to have another like episode like this, he probably would have had John Zorn or Merzbow or some sort of noise musician or something, you know.
And the story behind this song was kind of cool too, where you know, he wanted to work with 9 Inch Nails, and so Lynch reached out to Trent Reznor, and he wrote a song for this that was a lot more Angelo Badalamenti and like classic Twin Peaks vibes. And Lynch was like, no, I want like your stuff. I want like it to be dark and scary, and so then they put this together, so kind of for the show. So I thought it was really cool.
That is awesome. And I saw there's some lyrics that like aren't in the episode.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Let me pull it up. Yeah, there's like a whole other verse that we don't see because they cut away. I don't know where it is.
I feel like the full song is on one of their albums, though,
yes.
So maybe we'll hear the full thing otherwise. And I think that this is like part of Mr. C's dream or something, because then he like sits up awake right after this. Like this was he was kind of party to this to some extent. Or I'm not really sure. There's some sort of connection other than like it just being an interlude, because then we cut back to him waking up. This is my feeling on it, at least.
Hyped him up.
That. Yeah, hyped him up. Yeah, he heard it. He went, the 9 Inch Nails are back together. Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love all the Roadhouse performances so much. Like, I love when they end an episode. I love when they're in the middle of an episode. I love when they start an episode. I love, it's so great.
Do you have a favorite one?
I do love the Au Revoir Simone one. I think that one's or the Chromatica one is great. It's just so, I don't know. It's interesting to me. It feels like he's in conversation with people that make music that was influenced by his show or something, even though like they might not be, I don't know, but it does feel like it's or
they're almost tapping into something similar at least.
Yeah, and to have Lynch like acknowledge that and give them a platform on the show, I think is really cool. Like this type of thing exists with or without me is kind of the vibe I get, like this kind of dreamy, synthy pop stuff, like, and I don't know, it feels like handing a baton to these like younger artists or something. Like I don't know, it's cool to me.
That is cool. And it's also something that like only he would think of or like would have the audacity to try to include in your show or something, is to have just like a recurring, we're going to do like a live set in the middle of some of these episodes. And that's just going to be part of it. And you're going to have to deal with it.
We want it to be like Saturday Night Live.
Is that a real line?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
Well, everyone loved that scene. Was it season 1? The trio in the living room. Was that season 1?
Oh yeah.
Everyone loved that.
Just you and me.
Yeah.
Or just you and I, whatever that one.
July 16th, 1945, White Sands, New Mexico at 5:29 a.m. The world's first atomic bomb is detonated. Images of darkness and various distorted images are seen, followed by nebulae and a convenience store, where dark men arrive and move about outside. A figure appears to regurgitate a substance where inside are many eggs, a speckled one getting out while the face of Bob can be seen on a black ball rock.
Yeah,
This is a hell of a scene, you guys.
it's pretty incredible. Can we just say he did it better than Oppenheimer?
I think that's fair to say. I think there's I mean the trick of trying to, like, I know what I'm talking about, but trying to convey the magnitude of the evil that is unleashed into the world is such a gargantuan task for anyone to try to take on. And I think that David Lynch is the kind of artist that is going to be able to tune into the right kinds of frequencies better than others, because like the limits of like a 16:9 frame and like light and sound are like just not quite, like, it's not going to be enough to convey this. And so he's operating with, I mean, he's using the same tools, but somehow bringing so much more to it with this expressionism, or however you want to describe this Lynchian way that he goes about things. And this is, yeah, like we said earlier, this image of the atomic bomb. It's in black and white, and it's gorgeous. This slow aerial perspective zooming into the mushroom cloud, and then an extended sequence of colors and lights and sounds through this. It's I mean, it's not like anything I've ever seen. And the music, the Trinity for the victims of Hiroshima is playing. It's I mean, it's stunning.
Yeah, it's really like impactful. It starts as almost like a miniature. We're so far away, and then by the time you make it pretty close, it almost looks like a brain, with like a brain stem or something. And by the time you're there, it's like the scale of it just feels so big, which is something that I think is really, really difficult to do. Like you said, like, I don't know, we all see modern films with CG, and they always try to attempt a feeling of scale, like whether it's a Marvel movie or whatever, like, or Kong Godzilla or something, like, but there's just something about those that never feels big, like, or in a real way, like in a real way that feels large. And so I don't know how Lynch does it. It's absolutely incredible to me. It feels massively big.
Yeah.
It's cinema, in a real way,
And
It's very, very
I think
cool.
there is something too as well, like he is more sparing with the photorealism visual effects too, so that it's not really something that we're primed to expect that this is going to be so. It's weird. It's like it's so realistic and representative at the same time. Like it's so literal and metaphorical somehow in the same moment. Yeah, it's crazy.
So my theory about this episode, just as a whole, and I think it's a lot of people's theories, is that this is essentially like the origin of evil in the Twin Peaks universe. But I mean, that's something that I think Lynch is he's obsessed with, and everything he does is like, where does evil come from? Like, how can evil exist? Like, and then finding these like metaphysical, spiritual analogies for like how it could be possible. Like, it has to be something external, or it has to be something created. It can't be something like innate to reality. It has to come from somewhere else. And that's to me like Blue Velvet, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, like especially Fire Walk with Me. Like the story, this whole show is about traumatic like abuse of a young woman, and how does this happen? Like, how can the life we know allow for something like this to occur? And I find it really interesting that Lynch is his entire career basically is trying to find a way to explain it in a way that he can understand. And so I think, yeah, what we're watching here is like, probably the most atrocious thing that humanity's ever done on the planet. And then him saying that this is where it comes from. This is where Bob comes from.
It's an interesting answer to that question, because we've previously in the show had characters discussing like Bob is the evil that men do. Well, where does evil come from? How could this happen? Is it any more comforting to imagine that a father would actually do this to his own daughter, or that like he's being inhabited by some sort of otherworldly spirit?
Right.
And he answers it kind of in this episode that like before this episode is almost like, okay, evil is maybe this supernatural force. It's not, on this plane with us. But then this is the pinnacle of the evil that men do, this atomic bomb detonation here. And I guess I don't really care to spend too much time doing like the lore, theorizing, making sure it all fits together in the last kind of way. But I guess this is 1945 where this happens, the Trinity test. We've heard though that like there's that in the woods outside Twin Peaks that like the evil has long existed there, like implied for like centuries. Like it's this this Native American elements to it as well. Like this is a long-standing evil, and so I mean I guess you could like get into the whole like, oh, if things are out of time, like there's a rupture in like, is it future, is it past, that like evil was brought into this world in 1945, but it like reverberated forwards and backwards through time. It's not necessarily something that I like need to have connected for me, other than like this is just like a perfect symbol.
There is a moment, and you can call me after you finish the show, but like there's a moment where Philip Jeffries' teapot or whatever like shows like an infinity, like a Mobius strip, right? And I think that is kind of the cosmology of things, is that it's this like recursive loop in on it of itself or something. So like it does feel to me like exactly like you said, it's going like forward and backwards.
Okay.
But this is really where it comes from
transcendent evil, like the first thing that's breaking the rules.
Right.
And entering our world there too, because like it is itself so evil. Because obviously outside of Twin Peaks, the atomic bomb is real, unfortunately, and like that is like the ultimate evil that we have to like deal with and wrap our heads around. And like in the mythology of Twin Peaks, this is I've also seen people say that this is like the energy that allowed that like Bob to enter into our world here, that like otherwise it would have been confined to their reality. I think that, well, I want to jump ahead and talk about that too, but we have to talk about the convenience store too.
Yeah, because like the eggs are also really interesting, and we'll obviously get to like what comes out of those eggs. But I think it's like worth just putting a pin in the fact that like it's Bob and it's all these eggs coming out at the same time, and like I think that's like really important.
Well, let's talk about this convenience store, because this is maybe my favorite scene in the episode. It feels
the audio's amazing in this scene too.
Yes. It sounds like a distorted signal from elsewhere. Like there's a crunchy mechanical whirring noise that's happening underneath all of this, and like with the focus manipulation, it feels like it's like an old like digital lens or something trying to hit a focus on it. It's so cool. The light strobing from different locations, and the stuttering movements of the Woodsmen sort of appearing and building up over time. This was a really cool scene.
Yeah. And so to me, this is like, also the Woodsmen are born out of this same chaos and disaster or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I love it. It looks so great with that fog spilling out first. Like there's just this like tube of fog coming out the front door, and the lights start going crazy, and then suddenly everybody's just pacing around, and oh, it's incredible. It's so good.
Yeah, we're getting smoke and electricity together in that scene, which are both obviously massively important symbols in Twin Peaks. And it's all emerging. And we've heard about the convenience store before. I assume that has to be the same convenience store.
I think so.
And yeah, Atticus, how do you feel about this whole like sequence?
Well, for background, Morgan, I'm on the podcast as the person who can't follow what's going on most episodes. So, I struggled with it, I guess. But I feel like I'm excited to rewatch it with more someone else having made some connections for me. But yeah, I mean, it was very, I mean, it was cool. Like the sound design and stuff on it was cool. But my God.
I think like if you view it as almost like the Big Bang, like that's what we're watching, in my opinion. Like we're watching a Big Bang, and out of that Big Bang comes all of these other liminal spaces. Like comes this convenience store, comes the evil of Bob, comes all that stuff. Like the Red Room, everything. Like everything comes out of this bang. Is kind of how I see, the Woodsman and the convenience store and everything too. It's like that space is created out of this chaotic event.
And Atticus, you brought up like a rewatch. I ended up watching this episode twice this week, and I've had a very different experience watching it the second time than the first. Like the first was very, I knew that this was a famous episode. I knew this was a big one heading into it. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew that there was an atomic bomb sequence in it. That was kind of like the extent of it. And so I just kind of wanted to let it just, without being worried about taking notes throughout it. Because also, like you said, Morgan, at the beginning of the show, it trying to come up with thoughts like right after you see something, especially with the magnitude of this, like it is a folly of trying to do a podcast about this kind of thing. But I think so this ended up being more of our reactions. But watching it again through the second time felt like surprisingly comforting, or like I got like, it was, I mean, obviously it's more familiar, but it was a very different experience watching it through the second time. So I'd be curious what would happen if you ended up someday checking it out again.
I even had that experience. I mean, maybe not the comforting part, but like I wasn't clicking with Twin Peaks the first like 5 episodes, and was kind of being on this podcast being kind of like, oh no, but I like started over, and at that point was like really liked it. So I imagine I haven't been able to keep up with watching and rewatching.
Sure.
But I think when we're finished, I'll be able to rewatch it and probably get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, I also am like a weird Twin Peaks fan in the sense that like I think a lot of it you don't need to even see. Like when people, I mean, I think it's worth watching all of. Like I'm a kind of a completionist, but like anytime a friend is like, I'm thinking about like watching Twin Peaks, I'm always like, okay, like either you commit and you stick with it and you watch all of it, or watch these episodes. Like watch the ones Lynch was really involved in, because obviously we know he like was not involved in a lot of season 2. He wasn't involved.
You're saying just check out the Nadine and Mike storyline. That's all you need.
Yeah, that's it. Only that. Yeah. But like, it's certainly worth watching the movie. Certainly worth watching the pilot. Certainly worth watching like the finales. And then there's like some specific episodes like in the middle. I mean, I like it all to varying degrees. But like the stuff, like I like Mark Frost a lot. Obviously, he's 50% of the show, if not more, and so that's really important. But he kind of kind of was handed the reins for a while, and Lynch kind of drops off. And I'm very interested in what Lynch has to say, I think, more so than anything. And the show obviously does fall into the trappings of it being like, a CBS soap opera in the 90s, for certain aspects of it. Some of season 2 can be kind of a slog for sure.
In the way that it interacts with the form of being like a network show, and then like this being a prestige like streaming show too, is really interesting to think about as well. Just like what the kind of the different television landscape, and Morgan, you could probably speak to this a lot better than I could, of just like where the industry was and is at 2017. I guess I'm really heading with where I was heading with that, but like that you get two very different eras of television and context for which these entries into the Twin Peaks story emerge.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like this it sounds so stupid to say this, but like the return wouldn't exist without Twin Peaks, but I don't mean that in the sense that it's like a sequel. I mean it in the sense that like Twin Peaks was such a pioneering, force in television and was such a huge hit right away, like, which is so interesting that it truly changed the landscape of television and allowed for weirder, more cinematic, film-esque things on TV. And it's strange to think like without Twin Peaks like busting those doors down way back when, this couldn't have even existed on cable. Probably,
sure.
Like it does in its current form. I'm just listening to a Kyle MacLachlan interview on Louis Theroux's podcast, and it was interesting to hear about, how Twin Peaks was received initially, because it's like the network so didn't believe in it. They made them film a ending that like wrapped everything up.
Yeah,
the pilot didn't work. They could have turned it into a made-for-TV movie. And like Mulholland Drive was a pilot too. That never went.
That always blows my mind. How like
I know it's insane.
Mulholland Drive can be, because I mean, we've all been in different positions of like, oh, this project didn't like turn out the way we intended it. Oh, but we could like piece it together into something else maybe. Always feels like this sort of like a what's the term I'm trying to think of, like a consolation prize a little bit,
yeah,
or some sort of like concession, exactly.
Yeah.
But then to like put together like one of the greatest movies of all time out
so
of that
crazy.
is like, okay, that was if I can't make a TV show, I'll just make like the best movie.
Yeah, it's insane.
All right, man, that's great. Let's talk about our creepy little figure here, Atticus.
So I think this is Judy.
Okay.
This thing floating and vomiting.
This experiment is credited as, or described as, in the credits. Experiment equals Judy.
Okay. Yes, that makes. In my opinion, I think that's Judy.
Okay.
Yeah. I also think that's the same thing that maybe attacks the guy and the girl out of the box.
Yes.
That makes sense.
That does make sense.
And yeah, that's what I think is what we're seeing here.
I love the description as it being an experiment is so interesting too. That's so evocative. That's very man-made inherently there. And I don't really know what to do with that yet, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's this part of it when I was watching it last night, and I was like, there's something about the like Father, Son, Holy Ghost type thing, like the like Holy Trinity of things in this. To me, it feels very spiritual to me, this idea that like evil is not only Bob, but it is also Judy, and it is also like whatever this thing that's crawling out of the egg is into people.
Wow.
Like, but it's also created out of, like, this is a man-made thing that humans did, but it's like collectively we manifested like all of our worst things and created, and now this thing is born that represents it or something, that in the same way that we created God, and maybe but like in that same way, it feels to me like the most spiritual thing Lynch has like ever done. And when he says that like Eraserhead is his most spiritual film, and then they're like elaborate on that, and he's like, no, I'm like, this is kind of what he's getting at, right? Like, this is like Henry is the one who like vomits up this baby, like this weird little fetus thing that is just pain. It like feeds on pain and suffering, basically, like won't eat food, like just eats suffering. And to me, it's like this is the same type of thing. Like it's coming out of us, and then swallowing us whole, and then just knowing everything about Lynch and TM and his feelings on consciousness and all of that. To me, it's like, oh, this is his, like, I don't know, Garden of Eden type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we're not too where I'm located. I'm not too far away from his for Fairfield, Iowa, where he spent some time. There's meditation stuff.
Oh, is that where the Maharishi center
Yes.
is? Oh, okay,
Yep.
cool. That's where everybody's hopping around.
They levitate and stuff there.
Yeah, they do TM and then jump. Gets
Nice.
interesting.
I didn't see that when I drove through.
Yeah.
It was my first my wife and I went to Fairfield just for fun to check it out because it's a place that you hear about, and it was the first post-pandemic meal at a restaurant, or first eating at a restaurant.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
and it ended up being such a long wait that we just went next door to the Subway, and that was ended up being our first pandemic restaurant meal. Real disappointment there.
What'd you get?
Okay.
Creamed
Veggie
corn.
delight, baby.
Golden and red imagery follows, then a purple sea under the Black Lodge, where atop a rock spire is a building. Inside is a woman who listens to a phonograph. Question mark is, and that's, we're talking about the giant, right? With that?
I know him as the Giant.
Okay. The giant enters as a mechanism in the room makes a noise. He goes upstairs where he views the preceding events, ascending as a golden cloud forms above his head. The woman enters as a golden orb floats down to her from the cloud. It reaches her hands and the face of Laura Palmer appears. She kisses it and sends it to Earth.
Yeah, it's interesting because you just covered Lost, but it's the same. It's light and dark, baby, there it is. There's it's checks and balances on the universe, in my opinion. You got Bob, then you got to have Laura, and they will hopefully cancel each other out, hopefully. Or she'll fight Bob or whatever the goal is there. But it's a battery or something, right? That's, I think, what's created here, in the same way that it's about splitting an atom. It's okay, you got the good guys and you got the bad. I love that Lynch is, at the end of the day, it is just the most rudimentary storytelling thing of all time.
Yeah.
As weird as it all is, it's you got the good, the bad, boom.
Light and dark. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Laura as a countervailing force to Bob is a revelation to me in this episode. And I think about that tweet that's feeding shelter cats to coyotes. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, I did.
This is one of your tweets?
My neighbor. No, this is Mike Primavera, who said, my neighbor told me coyotes keep eating his outdoor cats, so I asked how many cats he has, and he said he just goes to the shelter and gets a new cat afterwards. So I said it sounds like he's just feeding shelter cats to coyotes, and then his daughter started crying. And
to get a shelter cat and then leave it outside is insane.
Yeah.
It's that's
That
where
is
it came
insane.
from. Yeah.
You're not doing anything to help this cat.
Yeah, it had a 2-week indoor vacation, and then you just brought it back.
Take it back to the shelter, dude.
It's that Norm Macdonald joke where he's you ever see a homeless guy with a dog? He goes, that's the worst deal in the world for the dog. He's I could do this on my own. It's the longest walk in the world. I don't need you to do this.
But I guess knowing where Laura's life ends up as being basically a subject for Bob's abuse feels thanks, Giant. Thanks for helping out. You made this vessel to just soak up all of this evil. Is that how that works?
I think that that's one way to view it, which I think is totally possible. I hadn't really considered that there's this sad, very deeply, that's deeply, deeply sad if Laura was created to just absorb the evil. I mean, that is heartbreaking and totally possible. If it's not like I created Laura to hopefully fight Bob or be a check or balance to Bob, it is instead like
but we see what
that's
happens
horrifying.
with her.
Yeah, I know. But like I think that what crawls into Sarah Palmer's mouth at the end, like I do think that that's Laura's mom. You know, that thing that crawls out of the egg, you know, is I think evil's winning is more or less the story here. Is that like
Sure.
if that hadn't have happened to Laura's mom, you know, potentially Laura wouldn't be such a complicated figure and could just be a glowing golden ball of light and wonderfulness. But instead, we know like Laura is a very complicated character who's not just entirely good either, right? And so, you know, either because of things that have happened to her or because of like how she was raised. And I think that thing is like, yeah, it's a corrupting force on Laura's mom or, you know, whatever. And then that is then passed down to Laura.
This building that the giant, who we'll come to know as the fireman apparently and is credited as question mark. This is a really cool building. It's beautiful. It's up on this mountain here in the purple sea that I assume is the same purple sea we saw earlier when he met that woman with no eyes. The giant like watching the screen of like the previous events of like the atom bomb exploding and just going like, the fuck is this, and just turns it off. Like this makes no sense. Or doing the bit from Spaceballs where he like fast forwards to see what to do next. I need to make Laura. Yeah. This is cool. I don't know. The alarm that goes off, like that alerts the fireman or this guy about like what's happening here. My dog Nora was very disturbed by the alarm here. She like gruffed at the TV a number of times while this scene was happening until he switched it off.
Also, fun fact: this is filmed in the same theater as the Silencio scene in Mulholland Drive.
Really? Wow.
Which is
cool.
now the Tower Theater in downtown Los Angeles, which is now an Apple store. So Bob and Judy have one in our universe.
That's a gut punch, dude.
That's dark.
Yeah, you can look up photos of it. It's insane. They kept the theater like intact, so like those balconies are still there and everything, but they ripped the soul out and turned it into an Apple store. Yeah, but you can tell it's the same place.
It's almost worse.
I know, it is kind of worse. It's like you should have just leveled it.
Don't remind people of a better movie in your movie. Don't remind people of a better store or a better building in your building. I don't know.
Yeah, really crazy. But yeah, it's interesting to me that that's Club Silencio too, in some
That's very
way.
interesting.
I find that important, but I don't know how.
Are you ready for 1956?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
1956, August 5th, New Mexico desert. A strange creature hatches from a speckled egg and crawls through the desert. A teenage couple walks past a gas station, the girl finding a face-up penny. Two woodsmen descend on the ground and they stop a car. One of them asking the driver and his wife, "Got a light?" The couple in the car become frightened and they speed away. You want me to finish up?
No, we can stop here for a sec. Yeah. 9 years later, I wonder what the implication of like the passage of time there. Like, so the egg was hanging out for 9 years in the desert and then hatched.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's more than one egg, which is not really a theory that I've seen online, but like there's a ton of eggs coming out of Judy or that creature or whatever, you know, in addition to Bob. And like, I think that we watch that egg enter Sarah Palmer. But that guy, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like that guy goes on the radio and puts a lot of people to sleep. You know, to me, this feels like the origin of like evil in man or something. It's like there's like a bunch of those things. They're gonna crawl into everybody's mouth, you know.
Interesting.
But I feel like this is how long it took for that ball of light to reach Earth or whatever from this void or something, and that's why this creepy guy comes out of the desert, you know, to stop it. And I think asking like God a light is him being like, do you have the, like, are you the one in possession of the light? Like, because we're dark. Like, do you have the like the light? You know, and that's clearly what they're looking for.
Someone light this man's cigarette. He needs it desperately. He'll do anything.
I think he's an Abraham Lincoln impersonator in real life. And I find the penny thing, I think the penny thing is very interesting because it's like Lincoln's head, then he cast Abraham Lincoln in it. Like,
Yup.
Yep.
And I mean, like you said, it seems important, and I'm not really sure what to make of it, but
I know, yeah, that's this whole show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did he put out a casting call for like? How would that have happened?
I guess he was like a yeah. I don't know if he's specifically looking for it, but he was already like a background actor. Like he was a construction worker, and then like in his retirement became like a background actor, extra type thing. And so maybe he happened to come up through a casting call or whatever, and then he liked the look, or that was an extra thing that Lynch liked about him.
Yeah, I know that Lynch like would cast based on faces, right? Like he wouldn't even do auditions. Like he would just look at photos of people and then be like, she's got the right face for it, and then would have a meeting instead of an audition, which is scary as a financier or something. That's how you're okay. Got it.
And wasn't there like a big deal that he, like Naomi Watts showed up when she met, or when he met her for the first time, and he was like, "You don't look like your picture,"
story.
Or something.
Yeah, that she, I don't know, showed up in makeup or something, and it just didn't kind of look like her photo, and he was like, "No."
But then, led to a very fruitful creative partnership. So that's cool.
Yeah.
The buzzing interference around the Woodsman, like the treatment to the guy's voice here is so cool. Like, as a sound designer, David Lynch, just like on his own, could be a legend just for sound design. It's
horrifying.
So creepy.
It's so scary. Like, you don't know what he's gonna do. Like at this moment in the show, you're like, oh my God, like this is the most frightening thing ever. And it's like people seem to be hypnotized by him, kind of like they can't stop looking at him even though they want to leave, That guy's wife is just like, no! Like, oh no!
Just go.
And you're like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now is when you stop for directions.
I think that teenage boy is Leland. Which is a little convenient, admittedly, but I have my reasons. But we can maybe talk about that after we hit this next section.
Interesting. What do you think the significance of the penny is?
Well, because she says it's lucky, right? Or like, and then the next thing, then bad stuff immediately starts happening to her. We get this.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, just like irony that it's lucky. What do you think?
I don't know. Like, there's theories online that the thing that crawls into her mouth is like the orb or whatever, right? Like that's Laura coming into her, and it's actually like not negative. I don't think that's the case, because I don't think we would have seen eggs coming out of Judy if that were the case. Like, that feels like part of the bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think there isn't. If you believe that the penny's lucky or whatever, then I could see an interpretation where it's like, oh no, that's that thing crawling into her mouth, though horrifying, is actually good news. Like, I don't know.
Well, maybe it's both.
I don't think that, but yeah.
Maybe it's both, because a penny is a golden circle in a way. And so it's
maybe
not
the
necessarily
penny's Laura.
Yeah, exactly. That it both happened to her that night. And it's
like
not
this.
that like the penny makes the bug moth crawl into her mouth, but it's both.
I think you nailed it. That's I believe that now. Yeah, picking up that penny was getting Laura.
And so my reason for thinking that this guy is Leland, other than like we know that Sarah and Leland end up together, and even though they're like in New Mexico and not anywhere here, so he like pushes for this kiss at their goodbye. Like it's presented as kind of like an awkward teens, like they got the crush on each other, maybe make an awkward small talk about, did you like the song? Yeah, I like the song. But you know, this guy, he asks for a kiss, and she says no. Basically, she's like, no, I don't think so. And then he presses it. He presses the matter. He pushes for kiss. It's like early signs of maybe not being super respectful of consent. His suit is too small, and this is all circumstantial, but this may be pointing to like some amount of like parental inattention. And we know he had this like unsupervised run-in with a man who lived next door at the lake earlier from Bob. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I would love to just look at this scene between these two young characters as innocent and lovely, but I've unfortunately been trained by this show to seek out darker things that happen.
Yeah. I mean, she is in her bed, like smiling afterwards, like listening to that, you know, romantic song and kind of like swooning, it feels like. To me, this whole thing has the vibe of like an immaculate conception type thing, like where this is like a metaphor for this woman will soon get pregnant with Laura. And like, we're not going to see that part because, you know, they're too young and it hasn't happened yet or whatever. But this is like symbolizing that, which I think is a strong case for it being Leland, potentially.
Or whatever dynamics in their relationship, like, gave Laura the upbringing that she got, starts here with this awkward consent thing.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. I think that's more of what I was getting at, is that it's starting this pattern or something. And, you know, like, yeah, we've mentioned that Mark Frost confirms that this girl is Sarah. It's definitely not, she's not credited as Sarah in the episode or anything. And until I read that was Sarah, I was kind of digging this idea that they were just kind of random people here, and not being the Palmers. So it was sort of just as a shorthand for hope and goodness or something that's happening here. It's kind of Star Wars-y to have it be Sarah.
I can see that, yeah. That's funny. Yeah.
And I don't know. It brings up the whole, like, what canon means and what's text and whatever. No one's, like, right.
Yeah, well, I
Frost
think
would
like
be
with
right.
Lynch too. I think with Lynch too, it's not ever. I don't think he cares to be very literal about who's who. You know, sometimes like even if you watch like Lost Highway, it's like, okay, yeah, this guy's a stand-in for this other guy. Like this is this. It's the same guy, but yes, like it means the same thing, and you're like, oh, okay, like I didn't get that. And it's like you're like you're not really figure it out. Like, and I think that Frost is a little bit like, especially in the, like these books. I think it was in this stuff. Sorry, I'm probably gonna knock over this entire bookcase. But like these like secret histories of these like dossiers or whatever, you know, like I think this is all Frost, right? And I think this is Frost kind of not retconning because he's responsible for half the show, but I think it is him like labeling things that Lynch doesn't care to label. Like I think for Lynch, it's like these two people are whoever they are, I don't care. Like that's not what they represent, you know. But
that's a great way to put it.
Mark,
like labeling
it feels important to
this
like
extra. Yeah.
To like tie it into the lore, you know, in some way to like make sense out of what David is like subconsciously doing.
Which sounds like a lot of fun. to like just get in there and be like,
dream.
let me just connect some dots, man. Let's get funky with it.
I know. I'm always so interested in what their like writing process was like because I know how much Lynch is just so vibe focused. I don't mean like aesthetically. I mean like literally just evoking feelings over anything. And then to have Mark Frost, who's like a television veteran. You know, I'm always just curious, like when they would sit down to write, how much of it David was like, yeah, and then that could be Sarah Palmer, and that ties into this, you know, like in a very logical, like TV writer's room way, or as if he was just like, here's the pitch, like it's an image, it's the vibe, it's a giant bomb, and then there's a young girl, and then whatever, and then if Frost is like, yeah, and that could be Sarah Palmer, and Lynch is like, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, like that. I'm dying to know.
God, that would be really interesting because it sounds like they wrote like this all as one long, like 500-page script, The Return, I guess, rather than breaking it up into different episodes, and which is also kind of why this is maybe considered a movie to some. That the whole part of Return it's like one production here with kind of these kind of arbitrary breaks in between, I suppose. But yeah, that just like the production and the creative process of how all this emerged from those two guys is really fascinating.
That makes sense too. I hadn't heard that before, or maybe you've probably said that like every episode and I just let it go by me. But that like the Roadhouse music isn't like it's not at the end of the episode every time. It mostly is, but like sometimes it's in the middle, and that's kind of, I don't know why that's interesting to think about for me, but just like that it's more intentional and less intentional or at the same time with the placement of that.
Yeah, and I could be wrong, but like the episodes don't have uniform time, right? Like they're not all like an hour, right? Like some of them are like, I could be wrong, but like are some like an hour and 10 and some are an hour and
I think
15,
it's a little flexible. Yeah, I don't think it's trying to hit like, they don't have to hit the like broadcast timings or anything like that.
Yeah, it just feels like, okay, we have to put a cut here. So
yeah,
I guess and in the episode.
we're we're not leaving it on like a cliffhanger, the way that like the soap opera-y thing was maybe happening like in the first runs. But also like we're just dealing with such a different language in The Return anyway that like if you could cut it after any scene and that's a cliffhanger just because you're like, I have no idea what could possibly come next.
Right.
I have to see it. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this radio station because this is also incredible vibes.
The young couple reach the girl's home and they share a kiss before she goes inside. One of the Woodsmen approaches KPJK radio station, goes inside and kills the receptionist. He then goes to the disc jockey, grabs him tightly by the head, and repeatedly broadcasts the words, "This is the water and this is the well, drink full and descend. The horse is the white of the eyes and the dark within," which causes listeners to fall unconscious, including a waitress at Pop's Diner, a mechanic in his shop, and the girl. The creature reaches the girl's rim and climbs into her mouth. The woodsman ends his broadcast, crushes the disc jockey's skull, and leaves while the neigh of a horse is heard.
So a desert radio station like this is such a compelling trope to me. I love it. I don't know, just maybe because I'm so far away from that like landscape here, but there was that Argentinian like animated show from a few years ago, like the Curlian Frequency, is so perfect for the vibes. That's like basically exactly this broadcast. And there's that the Vast of Night, the movie came out from a few years ago. I love this vibe.
Yeah, it's very like, I mean, you know, Lost Highway is a lot of Death Valley in it. Like he shot a lot of that movie at like the Amagrosa Opera House and all these like weird desert landscape because it feels so liminal. Like there's just nothing around it at all. It's only that building. Might as well be the convenience store, right? Like it's like it feels unstuck in time. It's such a crazy cool vibe.
And for the only thing out there in this totally deserted landscape to be a signal broadcasting thing is a really cool combination of effects, or these symbols, I guess.
Yeah, it's like basically the Earth version of where the fireman lives, right? Like we can't send Laura Palmer and a golden orb everywhere, but we can turn electricity into like voices and have them, hit different places on the Earth. It's so cool.
Very cool.
And then of course he takes control over it, which is terrifying. Uses it for nefarious purposes.
I don't think I've ever thought about this, but you saying Unstuck in Time, like, is drawing connections to me with, like, Slaughterhouse-5 and, like, all these, like, weird surrealist things around the bombing of Dresden. Like, I don't know. That feels somewhat similar to all of these weird surreal things around the atomic bomb.
100%.
Yeah, and I think there's, like, not to sound like a high school stoner about it or whatever, but I think there's an interpretation of all this too, of like, yeah, the radio or mass media in general, especially in the years after World War II, can either be a force for good, where art is broadcast and there's incredible, sweet music, or it can be used as a manipulation tool in order to put people to sleep and knock them out, or fill their brains with propaganda or whatever. And like, what this guy's saying, has implications in the Twin Peaks universe, but I think the whole thing could be viewed as a metaphor for like the way in which these tools can be weaponized against us. And I think that's very interesting in a post World War II type vibe.
Absolutely. And I'm certainly not really qualified to go any further into this past what I'm gonna say, but like Dadaism being kind of this like resistant to form and logic, and it being a political movement of artistic production, being and especially in response to war here. I think that Lynch certainly fits that tradition in a lot of ways, and that mass communication is something to be resisted and to be responded with chaos instead, or however you want to think about it. And here is kind of a chaotic poem that we get here. The this is the water and this is the well, drink full and descend. The horse is the white of the eyes and dark within. A cool part about the delivery from the Woodsman here, a dumbass like me directing it would be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you were just like really monotone and like really flat affect, and like we'll just distort distort the audio in post, whatever, and it's gonna be really chilling. But he's like performing it every recitation. Yeah. In like not exactly the same way, but like he's putting his whole Woodsman-ussy into it.
Yeah, I found that interesting this time around too, like because he starts kind of flat, and then each time he puts a little more inflection upon it. He's like imbuing it with personality, and you're like, this guy's got a personality. Yeah, and meanwhile, like the DJ must have like a much thicker head than the receptionist, because he really holds on to it for quite a lot longer than she does. Oh my god, what a horrible way to die.
Go.
Oh
no
my
kidding,
gosh,
dude.
yeah. It's so gross and insane.
And what do we make of
the sound design is so wild, of a skull being crushed by fingers. I'd love to know what Foley work they did, if it was just like, a cantaloupe and a cantaloupe and a screwdriver or something.
It's so close. Yeah. What do we make of the text of the poem here? The horse with the whitey eyes. We've seen horse before. This is
white horse.
And we've seen white horse, exactly. And the white of the eyes is like what you would see if someone was looking away from you, right? And we have this like aversion to abuse, or this like we're purposefully going to ignore the stuff that's happening here. This is the water and this is the well. Drink full and descend. Is that sounds to me as like a, give yourself over to evil or whatever. What do we make of this poem?
I have no idea.
It just sounds cool. It just sounds, and it's something. It's a spell. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, it's a spell that puts people to sleep. It might as well just be. It's less about the content of it, and it's just like this magical string of syllables that has this effect on people.
It may as well be like this. What does he say? Like Mr. Strawberry, like it could be that type of thing.
Yeah,
it's probably a little more than that, but it could be
like open sesame type shit. Yeah.
I like this theory I'm reading right now on Reddit, where it could be that could be a message not for the people hearing it, but that could be a message for the things in the eggs, right? And he's explaining how to get garmonbosia, right? Like how to get pain and suffering. Like the water is the garmonbosia, the well is the person. Descend, like go into the body of the person and drink, right? That's an interesting thought.
I've also heard people say that these two people that we see, the waitress at Pop's Diner and a mechanic in the shop, are Sarah's parents.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's extra Star Warsy to me. If we're gonna just link everybody like that, but
there's only 10 people in this world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Pop's Diner is this wonderful restaurant in Burbank called Chili John's. It's like 100-something years old, and they just have different types of chili. And I go there all the
chili's
time.
Here, man. What are you talking about? That's everywhere.
Really?
No,
yeah.
I hear you.
It's just cool. It's fun to like. There's another. I love going to Twin Peaks locations because so much of it was filmed out here in Southern California, especially the first 2 seasons. But then also like to see like Chili John's in this because it feels so Lynchian inside of there, and then to see it in this like monochrome black and white is so great. So I go there for lunch like a lot. And then there's another location that you haven't seen yet, but that's coming up. That's like this great diner out here in like Huntington Beach, Long Beach area, and there's like a big scene that happens there, and it's just I don't know. I love it. I love it.
I mean, the American West of this aesthetic of these diners in the American West is such a like. It's such a vibe too, but like the radio and stuff. But it feels very unique to the region, and we're just gonna head with this. Have you been to the like the places in Washington where they
Snoqualmie? Yeah, okay. I have. I have this like project where I try to take like 35mm photos of film locations just like for fun. I've been doing it for years. I have this crazy map with like thousands of film locations on it.
Cool.
And yeah, I made the trek out to Snoqualmie and ate at the diner there and took a photo of the waterfall and went to Laura's house and popped around, and it was really, really cool because he just nailed the vibe of that town. He depicted it so well that when you go there, it really feels like Twin Peaks. Like it's foggy, it's slightly rainy, it's really beautiful. Like it's, and then there's like the woods, which are scary. You know, there's kind of, there's like this looming threat, like just because I'm a desert kid, like I'm from the desert, I'm from Arizona, and so like I like camping and everything, but anytime I like desert camping, you can see what's coming from every direction, you know, like being in the woods.
See, that scares me. That sounds really scary.
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, like in the woods, you don't know if a guy is coming at you from the desert, you got some time to move because you're like, oh, I can see him. He's all the way over there. Let me get out of here. Whereas in the woods, it's like it could be behind that tree or that tree.
They could be above you. There you got a whole
Yeah, they could be
vertical
above
space
you.
to deal with. Yeah.
That's right. And yeah, the Roadhouse, like, I think it's out there. I think it was like a French restaurant or something. I could be wrong, but
Oh,
yeah, it was
cool.
cool because as you drive around, you're just like, oh my God, that's from Twin Peaks. Hey, that's from Twin Peaks. Hey, that's from
Neat.
Twin Peaks. Yeah.
How about the Great Northern? Is that a real location up there?
Yeah, that's at the base. That's like at the top of the waterfall, right next to it. All the interiors were actually filmed maybe 2 blocks from my house at Occidental Studios, at least for the first season. And then, yeah, the police station is really cool out there because it's right near where the lumber mill was, and that's sitting there abandoned. And then the sheriff's station is now like a ATV tourism thing or something where you can like rent ATVs and like drive around this like big empty field near the place. And they have I guess they were gifted by production or something, like one of the Twin Peaks sheriff's Jeeps or something. And so that sits out there now and is really, really cool. The place I really want to go next is this like crossroads location in the desert that's up by Palmdale, Lancaster area out here, where there's this like switch that happens. I don't know when it happens in the show. My other favorite thing about this season, just real quick, is just I've seen it so many times. I couldn't tell you what comes before or what comes after anything. Like,
I think that means you're doing it right, Morgan, because you're over there saying, is it future or is it past all the time, even though what happens in the show.
Like, I know squeeze his arm off is pretty early. Like, that
happened just last episode, actually. That was
my God, really? It's
part 7, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see, I thought that was like episode 2 with like the spike or whatever. That song is so weird.
Well, okay, this is basically the end of the episode here. Atticus, why don't you...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you already said that. Something I want to say, though, about last thing that we see is that as the credits are rolling, we see the girl laying in her bed, twitching uncomfortably, a shadow looming in the corner. And we heard that horse whinnying and the sound design. And that's another, like, piece that's making me, like, remember what all of that means. Like, it's making me think about this girl being in danger, that it's impending danger, or just making the connection somehow there. And that it climbing into her mouth is so nasty.
It's so disgusting. And how it like I don't know, it like sends out a frequency that causes you to like she like opens her mouth, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not like it forces its way in. It's like, and then she goes like
and then just the little gulp at the end too. And she just like swallowed. Oh,
it's so gross. It's so insane. Gross. Yeah. What is that thing? It's like a frog, grasshopper, rabbit thing.
Yeah. And it's the animation on it is really nasty too, but it's really realistic. Where like it has that like heft when it flies up to the window. It's like this fucked up like Tinkerbell thing, like this horrible fairy that's coming to, I don't know, be gross on you, I guess.
The white horse thing is interesting because like it does appear to Sarah Palmer after being like drugged and drinking like poisoned milk by Leland, right? Like he's drugging her. And it is interesting. The poem is like drink and descend, and the horse is the white of the eyes, and like it's like I don't know how tied in that is to like what Leland does to Sarah, but it feels important.
But it's there,
and I don't know how.
Well, here we are at the end of the episode. Morgan, what we do here at the end of the episode, this is such a funny one to do it with. We have an outfit of the episode. What's our favorite outfit that a character wore? This worked way better in season 1 when it was like really awesome like knitwear, but we've just kind of kept it going here for the return. And I'm going to shout out Senorita Dido, her sparkly costume up in the with the giant. I guess that's her name. I don't really know anything about her.
Oh, the one she's got all the diamond necklaces on and the 1920s makeup and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Atticus, can you go before me? I'm gonna think.
Yeah, I don't know if I have one. Maybe
that's fair.
The 9 Inch Nails They had some
Oh, sure. That's a good.
good ensemble outfit.
Yeah, I do like that kid's suit, just because the one who's walking with the girl who finds a penny. It feels so David Lynch to me, not just what he would wear in his personal life all the time, but also Eraserhead vibes for sure.
Yeah.
And the little kid who's like David Lynch, who lives with Miss Tremont or whatever, from the movie. Yeah, it's interesting. The black suit, white shirt, no tie.
That
Motif.
is a Lynch get up.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Who's our star performer of the episode? Atticus, do you want to go first?
I'm like Ben with this. Will also does
You're
like a
surprised
catchphrase
every time.
every time. I haven't been able to add this into my watching to be watching out for it. I guess Kyle MacLachlan,
Sure. Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Robert Broski, though, the Abraham Lincoln impersonator who plays the Woodsman. I think that his gait is so freaky, and he really gives it his all in that poem, and that was cool. This episode is less like performance based than others. Like, it's not like, we're not getting like close up people's eyes, having like emotional conversations necessarily. It's a lot more of like visual drama happening elsewhere, but I think there's certainly things that stand out. Morgan, do you have a?
I have
a
a two,
performer?
actually. I think the young girl is incredible in this. Like, I love her line delivery when she says, like, do you live nearby? And then he explains, and she goes, you live near the school. Like, it's so stilted in that Lynchian way. It's so dreamlike. It's such a dreamlike way of line delivery for somebody that young to fit the vibe of a Lynch project so well. I think she crushes it. And then I have to give it to Carol Struka or whatever, the fireman, because just on a technical level, doing all that stuff backwards every time.
I know.
It's so hard. I was watching it this time around, and I was like, oh my God. So he had to start over here, flip the switch on the machine first or whatever. Then he comes around, stands there. Then he walks backwards behind the thing. Then the light goes off. I was just, he didn't have to talk this time backwards, but it's still just, that is really hard to wrap my mind around. Like, even just Lynch directing it, I can't, it's like, okay, where do we start? Where do we end up?
Yeah.
Because it's going to play in reverse.
And I'm like scared for him, like doing the stairs too,
Right.
to like, and so it made me, I wonder if they did it all for, I feel like there was one shot that was a digital double for him walking across part of the theater. There's one thing that looked a little, I don't know what it, but I was like very like worried about him walking back. Like, is he gonna trip and fall? Like, they wouldn't put that in. If
it's okay. It's just real quick. We're wrapping up. But there's this really funny moment in the documentary about making this where Lynch is like chain smoking and having a production meeting with like a couple people, and they're telling him, we're like running out of days. We need to, move on through this stuff, and he's like so frustrated because he's like, we're not in Hollywood. Like, I don't understand why we're not able to take our time in some of these places. And the example he gives is he's like at the Fireman's, I could have spent a week like having to do this many scenes. You get no chance to go dreamy. And I find it so funny that he's talking about potentially the dreamiest
thing that
stuff
anyone's
he's done
ever
in the whole
done.
show. Yeah, and he's like, you never get a chance. Like, I could have spent a week at the Fireman's and never got a chance to go dreamy. And it's like, I think you did a pretty good job, with the time you had. It's interesting to think like what he would have preferred to have done in that space with more time. Yeah.
And then we also give each episode a star rating. I'll go first out of 5. I'm gonna give this a 5. This was like unlike anything I've ever seen, and I think that like watching this episode twice and then having the conversation about it too. Like, I have the whole experience. I have gotten so much out of it. Is one of the richer texts and richer experiences I've had So I can't not give it a 5. Atticus, do you want to rate it?
I think I would have, if we had just done ratings right off the top, I would have said 3. And then after this conversation, I'm going to say 4, with that I will be able to rewatch this and probably get more out of it. But for now, a temporary 4.
A provisional 4.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm going to go 1. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck this. This sucks ass.
No, 5. I think 500. Yeah, I just think it's absolutely incredible that anything like this exists. I think it's incredible that this is on Showtime, on television in the United States of America. I find it absolutely crazy in its own right, even removing TV out of it. I think it's one of the greatest things David Lynch has ever done, for sure.
So 3.5 sounds like.
Yeah.
My 4 sounds so harsh after that.
Morgan, do you have time to hang out and talk to us about micro budget a little bit more, or should we
let's
just
do it.
hit a plug?
That sounds great.
Okay, you got a Blu-ray coming out first. I want to make sure people hear that.
That's right. Through Vinegar Syndrome, you can get the micro budget Blu-ray.
Are you doing DVDs?
We are not doing DVDs. Maybe someday. I was kind of hoping we would do that, but I just don't think anybody would buy it if the Blu-ray is available. So, kind of a waste. Like, I think people would buy a VHS just as an art object, but I don't know if people are necessarily coming around to just buying DVDs yet. But yeah, there's like 82 minutes of bonus features. You know, the whole movie is basically a fake bonus feature. So it was always really important to me that the disc like contained a lot of stuff. Also because the way I learned how to direct was by watching like Adam McKay special features and Judd Apatow special features and, you know, like the bonus features of Hot Rod and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure we jam-packed this thing with as much as we could. And a lot of the movie's improvised, so there's a ton of alt takes. There's a blooper reel. We did a really cool thing, I think, where we did a multicam split because most of the film was shot with like 3 cameras at once. And so instead of cutting each scene, I put every frame up so you can just see what we were covering at all times, which I think would be interesting to me if I was like a film student or something.
Oh God, that's so fascinating. I love that. When I heard you say that that's going to be on the Blu-ray, I'm like, oh wow. I mean, like that's like a masterclass in editing right there. Like you could learn so much from seeing the different sources like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was really fun to do. And then, there's just a ton of runners and gags and stuff like that. And then there's a commentary track, and there's also like a 30-minute making of like how we did it. It's a documentary about our fake documentary.
That's great.
Shot on mini DV, so it looks like Inland Empire.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so weird. I'd watched the first 40 minutes of Inland Empire twice this week, for some reason. I don't know why. And okay, I'm gonna try to segue more into the micro budget here, but also still keep some David Lynch. I feel like episode 8 here, this part 8, is basically what Rick shows Terry in the VFX bay. And they're just like, what is this? What's going on here? That was one of the funniest scenes. We loved it, and I want to talk a little bit about the making of here because you also wrote an awesome article in was it Movie Maker? Is that what it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, what are the thresholds for what's considered micro budget, small budget, etc.? Are there like strict guidelines?
There are. It's all through the Screen Actors Guild. I couldn't tell you exactly the number, but I know that technically speaking, our film qualifies as a SAG ultra low project, which it means, I think, over like $150,000 maybe is where that kicks in. And if it's like under 150 or under 100 or something, it's technically a micro budget, but ultra low.
Oh, so yours is technically not a micro budget.
Correct. Yes. We are technically over that. Our budget was $235,000. So, but ultra low budget just didn't have the same ring to it as a title.
Sure. Yeah. And like colloquially, like to say it is micro budget, like that, like it's meaningful to describe it as such. Yeah.
Yes. Very few things are made for this low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would the budget what would Terry be working with for the movie that he's making, do you think?
I think Terry was probably working with about $100,000, maybe like 100.
Okay.
Something like that. But he's spending it all on the wrong stuff. Like I think he says at one point he paid Rick, the VFX guy who used to work at a bowling alley and makes strike graphics for a living, paid him like 20 grand. So he's spending money, but he's not, he's like ran out of money by the time they got there, was kind of my theory. And there's a funny moment in the
food.
That's right. Yeah, there's a funny moment in the film where like he goes and gets a check from his grandma, and when he comes back, he's wearing like a whole new getup. Like he's got like a pashmina on, and he's got this like goofy little hat and like a suit coat. And to me, it just made me laugh to think that like on his way back to set to pay people, he stopped and got a new outfit.
So good. Okay, this is a bit of an Iowa Rube question for you, but I'm going to read a little bit from the article that you wrote. One thing we did not want to do, since all of us on the team are working film and TV professionals in Los Angeles, was to follow the get your friends together on weekends and make a movie without paying anyone model of indie filmmaking. We all understand why this is financially necessary for most projects and helps directors break even in the current horrific sales climate where MGs are either tiny or non-existent. What's MGs?
Oh, that's a minimum guarantee. So
okay.
A minimum guarantee is essentially what a company would pay you up front in order to have the rights to your film for a period of time. So in the heyday of indie filmmaking, like Clerks, Robert Rodriguez, like this Sundance in the 90s, right? Like the minimum guarantees were extraordinarily high. So if you made a film, it was absolutely possible to get a minimum guarantee from a Miramax or an October Films or something to the tune of like $1 million. And that's where you hear of these like overnight success stories. These days, it's all about mitigating risk on behalf of these companies. They just do not want to take risks at all, and they have passed all of that on to the filmmaker. And so minimum guarantees are very, very small today, potentially $10,000 or nothing at a film of our level. You will hear of like big Sundance acquisitions and stuff, but generally speaking, those are happening to films that are maybe $1 million or more. And they will sometimes get a minimum guarantee that's a little higher, but that's an aspect of the business that's essentially been like decimated by streaming. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna continue on through here, but that was very helpful context. So that simply wasn't an option with the crew and actors we wanted to use. So we did things the right way as much as we could and followed all the rules, which meant having real insurance and pulling proper permits for the locations, blah, blah, blah. And I guess I wanted to ask you, was this wasn't an option due to union rules, or is this like a principled self-enforcement thing that, you were all professionals working here and you want to do the right thing kind of thing?
I think it was a bit of that. It was about trying to not be exploitative of people and their time as much as possible. Like, the way this was financed was I had written this animated Batman movie that you could see behind me, and I had written a couple other films for Warner Brothers. So basically for the first time in my life, like I had some money, and then I took out a loan and I took out some credit cards through my business. And so I paid for it all myself. And, obviously I wanted to keep costs down as much as humanly possible, but with also the understanding that like I'm working in the business, everybody I'm hiring is working in the business. 2 strikes were about to happen. We had just come off COVID. I didn't want to spend money recklessly or needlessly, but I also wanted to ensure that everybody was getting paid relatively well. And the other reason to do that is because, and I have friends who've made some indies in this way of like, we're just going to get some people together and see who's available. And it's kind of pulling in every favor you have. And that's amazing. And you should totally do that if you can. However, what does end up happening sometimes is like, no one feels like they actually need to work on it. Like, hey, my composer has blown the deadline by 3 months or something, which just happened to a friend of mine's
because it's a favor and you don't have that accountability with the Like
Right.
you're
And
getting
so
paid for this. Yeah.
so it's helpful to pay sometimes because like an air of transactionality can lead to professionalism. Yeah,
Well,
but it's not, it's not right for every film, like I think if you have a movie without SAG actors and you want to make it with your friends and you don't have to deal with SAG or the unions or anything, then by all means, do it for any amount you can. Do it for $10,000, do it for $5,000 for sure. But I knew I wanted to try to get like Maria Bamford and Chris Parnell and Bobby Moynihan and all these professional actors in it. And so because of that, we had to be a little bit more legitimate than my bank account would have preferred for sure. Like I would have much preferred to do things cheaper, but you have to do things like legally with actors at that level. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it hit your bank account pretty hard, but I do love that. I'm sorry I ended up costing you personally a lot, but like taking a stand to like pay people reasonably is very admirable, I think, in this client. And I mean, obviously I don't work in Hollywood, but I think we're all feeling the pinch in different ways. The more we're squeezed, the more I feel like digging in my heels, almost certainly to the detriment to my career. But I'm done bending over backwards to get things made, and like we're on the call with Atticus, who I've dragged into a lot of my personal projects. So don't get any ideas, Atticus. This is how it works out in Hollywood. It would do things a little bit different around here. But like I'll be biased because I'm a big union guy. But you mentioned in your Reddit AMA something to the effect of there are people who hold the money and it's their behavior that needs to change, not the workers. And that hit really hard for me. I appreciate that you're leading by example here.
Yeah, I think that people have this tendency to view Hollywood as like, especially when we ask for tax breaks and tax credits and stuff for productions, it's like, well, why should we have to finance Tom Cruise's salary? And it's like, that's the 1% of 1%. That is just not the reality of working in this business at all. Most people I know are struggling to get by. They maybe work on one show a year, if they're lucky. And that's not enough to last. Like, yes, you'll hear sometimes about like these union minimums, and yes, they can be very high, but you have no idea how long you need to make that check last for. It's not a type of job. It's a freelance lifestyle. It's not the type of job where you're making that consistently every single year or every single month or something like that. And so I think there's this fundamental misunderstanding of like what we're all doing out here in Hollywood, and I think everybody thinks we're like super rich and just balling out and having a good time, like it's Entourage, and it's like hasn't been Entourage since the mid-90s, like it's a completely different reality.
Ultimately, it's like most Americans are have Terry's idea of what to do.
That's exactly right, and so I think it was just important to just try to get people paid as much as we could.
That's really cool, and it worked out. Well, it resulted in something very, very funny, very, very special.
Yeah, I'll also say, it's a movie about a very toxic film set. It feels like my thesis, like what I'm trying to convey about the film, would be undermined if you found out that the film itself was also a really exploitative, horrible experience for people. So I had to make sure.
And the kind of like my last question for you here, but like there's this running joke in the movie about like, is it Rosemary's Baby found footage film that's on being relegated to like $5 on-demand Vimeo rental hell, and I found that to be very funny that like I'm taking notes like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, and it's like the butt of it that's a bad idea. But the distribution model of being on like Tubi and like the ad-supported platforms, as well as being able to purchase it, like I hope that works out. How do you feel about like these kinds of distribution models that are available to like films at this level?
I mean, I think they're great. Like, honestly, like, I think that the only drawback in my mind is like, I don't necessarily want the first time anybody sees my film to like be with ads in it. Like that's sad. That's disappointing to me, especially when you can go buy it for like $3 or something. But we're pushing Tubi really hard because Tubi has like 100 million, active users or something, and it's a gigantic platform, and it's a very easy way to see the film. And they have a relatively fair profit share in terms of the ad model. Obviously, this industry is like everything else in the world. It's like tech invents the thing that already existed. Take an Uber, for example. Like, they just reinvented the taxi. It's cheaper for a little bit, and then now it's more expensive than a taxi ever was, and the only difference is that the people who drive them don't have health insurance. And it's the same thing that's happening in the entertainment business. It's like we got rid of linear television cable. It decimated the film industry. All of these companies, by far, their largest profit centers was ad revenue from sports, live television, shows like Twin Peaks, syndicated shows like ER, Friends, whatever. That allowed them to finance films. And they got rid of that because they all got spooked by Netflix, and they all started chasing this streaming model business. And the way they, decided to try to get people in was by greenlighting a ton of shows, spending hundreds of millions of dollars a quarter on these platforms. People flocked to them, but not enough people, and they realized that they had really shot themselves in the foot and contributed to the demise of their largest profit center. And now what's happening, you're seeing everywhere, is every one of these streaming platforms has ads. So they've reinvented cable. Not only do you need 10 services to watch everything, like signing up for different cable packages back in the day, but now they all have advertisements in them anyway.
But Morgan, to play devil's advocate, everyone's much worse off now, at least.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, exactly. And they don't have to pay residuals. So in the same way that, they stripped healthcare from drivers, they've now, decimated the residual income business, which is what kept writers alive and actors alive in this business for many, many years. And so certain people are still making a ton of money off of these shows. They just happen to be, like everywhere else, all over the country, the CEOs who are taking these companies, trying to, make the bottom line look as good as possible so that they can flip it and sell it, like buying a crummy house and gutting out the kitchen and putting in Home Depot cabinets and then selling it for $1 million more. That's essentially, they're doing the landlord special on all these companies.
On your livelihood. Well, what's the best way for us to support this project? Is it the Blu-ray?
The Blu-ray is awesome. Yeah, if you check out the Blu-ray, I think the best way to support it is just to see it any way you want. If you want to watch it for free, I don't knock you. I love free stuff. I totally get it. So yeah, we're on Tubi, we're on Plex. You could rent it on Amazon, everywhere else. You can go to microbudgetmovie.com. That'll have literally everything that you need to see it. And then if you like it, it is super, super helpful to log it on Letterboxd, to tell your friends about it. Post about it on Instagram or something like that. Just word of mouth is the best thing to help us because, we have no marketing budget. It's me and my producers just doing everything ourselves and just trying to get it seen. So you've already helped enough. You've put me on a podcast. That's huge.
Burying you at the end of a podcast that was talking about Twin Peaks. That's a huge favor. Yeah.
I can't think of anything I'd rather talk about. I
love how this
much rather talk about Twin Peaks than my own movie.
I mean, it's very cool that you turned out to be a major Lynch fan anyway. This was a really fun conversation. It was really good to have you on the show, Morgan.
I should have done the Lost one, to be honest. I got to plug one more thing. You got to watch this documentary called Getting Lost, which I'm in. And it's with Damon and Carlton and J.J. Abrams and the entire cast of Lost. And it's really good. This guy, Taylor Morden, did it. And it's kind of a recap about everything that happened with Lost. And I was their first interview. And
oh, my God.
And then they were like, hey, we got good news. We got Hurley and Sawyer and Kate. And I was like, oh, I'm getting cut out of this thing. There's no way I'm, I was at first interview and then they got all these real people. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this.
Well, why were you the first interview? Am I stupid? Are you in the show and I just missed you?
No, just a super fan. My
Okay.
S corp, my company's name is Widmore Industries, so I'm the actual real life president of Widmore Industries. But yeah, it's really funny. I mean, it's crazy. I'm in this quite a bit, which is astounding to me. But then they did some stuff, like they edited some things where I'm like, like I'm just gonna give an overview of how the show came to be, and then I'm like, but like cut out any of this if it's wrong. And then sometimes they'd put me saying something and then immediately cut to Damon Lindelof going, no, not like that at all. And I'm like, oh my God, I look like a moron, but it's a really good doc. I highly recommend it.
Atticus, please tell me we didn't like watch that documentary and talk mad shit on it or something.
That I remember.
No, I don't think we did. Okay, good. Morgan, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This was a blast, for sitting with us for so long today. And yeah, people, you're going to have fun with Micro Budget. I guarantee it. Definitely check it out. Folks, thanks for listening to the show. You can email us at drskeletionsartschool@gmail.com. You can support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/drskeleton. Next week, we're going to be watching The Return Part 9. And at this point, it could truly be anything that comes next. Who knows? Atticus, hit him with the catchphrase.
What's next?
This is a brand new Extra Good podcast. Learn more at brandnewextragood.com.